Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas addressed the Palestinian Legislative Council Saturday in Ramallah. This was the first meeting of the council since the Hamas party won a majority of seats in legislative elections January 25th. President Abbas, who was elected a year ago to a 4-year term, is the leader of the Fatah party, formerly headed by Yasser Arafat. This is 45 Minutes.
In the name of God, the gracious and merciful, they should always consult each other. Words of God. Fellow members of the Second Palestinian Legislative Council, members of the Diplomatic Corps, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is a great day in the life of our Palestinian people and of its national struggle, the day we constitutionally inaugurate our second Palestinian Legislative Council, elected by our Palestinian people in the West Bank, the Gaza Strip and Jerusalem, in free and fair elections, as witnessed by the entire world through hundreds of observers, and a process that has been carried out peacefully from the start to the end. These elections would not have been possible if any political faction or party have been excluded, or if our compatriots in East Jerusalem have not been allowed to participate. This is what I emphasized strongly, despite all pressures, and this is what really happened. And now I see amongst you those people who represent Jerusalem and represent all Palestinian political factions. I congratulate all of you. I congratulate all of you for the trust that the voters put in you, and I wish you all the success in carrying out your huge responsibilities. On this occasion, I would like to salute also the Central Elections Committee and express my gratitude and appreciation for its achievement in the way it conducted the process in the most capable and responsible way. I would also like to express gratitude to the Arab and foreign election observers for monitoring the elections, and I would like particularly to mention President Jimmy Carter. Our people have proven their maturity in spirit and democratic performance through the conclusion of these legislative elections and the preceding presidential and municipal elections. The entire world should regard this fact as a certificate of eligibility to build a present and a future for our people in a modern state that our people deserve. This state will have a democratic, pluralistic system governed by the rule of law and the spirit and ethics of the times we live in, where each man and woman is entitled to the rights and freedoms guaranteed by the law. Ladies and gentlemen, from this forum, I congratulate and salute our Palestinian people in the homeland and in the diaspora. I tell each Palestinian that our real joy will only be complete when we achieve our freedom, when we establish our independent state with Jerusalem as its capital, when we free our prisoners, and when the question of the refugee is solved in a just and agreed manner based on Resolution 194. And the day we achieve the dream of the leader of our revolution and the builder of the first Palestinian Authority, President Yasser Arafat. I also salute the members of your council who are sitting behind bars in Israel alongside thousands of our heroes, and I tell them all that we will not spare any effort until they are all freed and until I see each member of them, each one of them taking his place in this council, and each prisoner obtaining their rightful place in society. Ladies and gentlemen, the results of these elections have led to the creation of a new political reality in which Hamas won the majority in the Palestinian Legislative Council. Therefore, it will be called to form the new government, and I expect the person forming the government to be designated and that the usual consultations regarding this to start immediately. All of this will be accompanied with the election of your honorable council presiding body and the establishment of its committees, so as it can be ready to receive the new government and hear its program and leading to the confidence vote. We are looking forward to the completion of this process according to the procedures as soon as possible, because the tasks that are awaiting are large. In fact, they are huge. From my part, you will find all cooperation and encouragement, because the national interest is our first and utmost goal and is above any individual or faction. I seize this opportunity now to salute the first Palestinian Legislative Council that worked under extremely difficult circumstances and has drafted a large number of laws and followed up and monitored as much as possible the works of the successive governments, which in turn also deserve our appreciation for all their initiatives and achievements. We also hope that the new government will continue this process and develop its performance in a way that achieves the interests and wishes of the people who voted and elected them, and who will keep a close watch on the performance of the elected parliament and the government. Today, in front of the second Palestinian Legislative Council, and as usual, I would like to address you and address our people and the entire world in a high spirit of responsibility, clarity and honesty, to tell you about the initial stages of our national experience with its difficulties, complexities and huge achievements. A process that has been conducted by the Palestine Liberation Organization, the leader of these people and the highest political reference for its committees and institutions. These achievements would not have been possible without the insistence of the PLO on national unity and its adoption of the most effective forms of struggle based on policies that carefully examined and studies governed by the higher national interest for the Palestinian people and in accordance with international resolutions. We have thwarted plans aiming to eliminate the political identity of the Palestinian people and its national rights. The PLO was able to carry our cause to the far reaches of the world, to all its peoples, until the doors of the United Nations opened to us. On that floor, President Yasser Arafat stood in our name, holding an olive branch, asking the entire world not to drop it. After that, international and regional recognition of our people, of the PLO and our rights followed, and it constituted a political reserve from which we still draw strength and effective international presence. At the same time, we launched political initiatives with our brothers, Arab and Muslim brothers, expressed through balanced decisions issued in Arab and Islamic summits. These decisions have placed the national rights of the Palestinian people at the core of both the Muslim and Arab worlds, and in a manner that addresses the entire world with the language of the times. This has also provided us with critical political and moral support at all stages of our national struggle and political movement. The PLO has led this important historic era despite the presence of its leader, institutions and frameworks and institutions in exile. It has confronted many hardships, many difficult battles to maintain its presence, to maintain its mission and the right of the Palestinian people. The PLO and the Palestinian Revolution could not have survived or overcome the attempts of elimination without, in addition to its obstinate military struggle, courageous political initiatives that added momentum to the Palestinian cause and received large support, both internationally and regionally, which has led to the recognition of the PLO as the sole representative of the Palestinian people and the capable and legal spokesperson of the Palestinian national rights. And from this platform, which is part of the Palestinian National Council, I emphasize the necessity of completing the dialogue among all factions and parties to activate our organization, to renew its structures and frameworks and improve its performance at all levels. We have already started this dialogue, and it is time to reach the results that we all seek. In this context, I would like to remind you of another important milestone in our heroic national struggle, and that's our courageous historic initiative in the 1988 session of the Palestinian National Council in Algiers. That initiative that entailed the declaration of the establishment of the State of Palestine in exile and the declaration of independence that accompanied our recognition of resolutions 242 and 338, which laid the foundation of our future state and defined its contours and content and upgraded the level of international recognition, which all coincided with the outbreak of the first popular uprising, the Intifada, in the year 1987, which decisively contributed to the adoption of our initiative, and the world started to deal with our people, with our cause, and with our leadership as a state to another state, which gave the Palestinian peace offensive. That's the way we called it at the time, the Palestinian peace offensive, a political depth that went beyond a unilateral declaration to become an international commitment for all of those that recognized it and established full relations with the state of Palestine. This political struggle also bore fruit when there was an important imbalance in the international arena, as after the fall of the Soviet Union and the outbreak of the Second Gulf War, these events necessitated a rethinking and revamping and reformulation of new equations for stability in our region. Had Palestine not been present as a recognized state and as a PLO that embodied a strong representative political body, the world would have bypassed us. No one would have ever thought of us in the framework of any international or regional arrangements. Seizing that opportunity of this presence, the political process was started, and the opportunity of the presence, a political process was started, and the American-Palestinian dialogue, which was a taboo for many decades, was launched. The peace process was started in Madrid, and we all know about its chapters and developments. At the same time, there were secret channels working with, which led to the Oslo Accords. And I was one of them. And the mutual recognition between the PLO and Israel. There were plenty of rumors regarding the Oslo Accords, all of which aim at putting them in question. Most important of those rumors were that the Oslo Accords were signed behind the back of the Palestinian people. since the negotiations were managed in secrecy. And here I would like to repeat what I said on many occasions, that political action in secrecy is quite familiar in most negotiations carried out between two conflicting parties. As to the results of the negotiations or the agreements, they were definitely public, and they take their legitimacy the moment they are presented to representative political institutions for approval. And this is exactly what happened when we submitted the accords to the legislative and executive institutions of the PLO to be discussed, to be voted, and to be endorsed. Since then, we have accepted and respected the right of any individual, group, or political faction to voice objection on the Oslo Accords. But we have not, and we will not accept any questioning of the Accord's legitimacy, because from the moment we endorsed it, it became a political reality to which we remain committed. If I speak objectively,